Okay.
Hi, how's it going, Laura?
Yeah, pretty good. And you?
Awesome. So I was like, before we start our discussion, can you tell us about the film and Butterfly?
Yeah, this film is today we'll discuss. So for the Butterfly, as a film and Butterfly tells in 1964, the French diplomat Galimand saw the opera Madame Butterfly and was fascinated deeply by the Chinese actress Song Liling, who played Madame Butterfly on stage. But Song Liling's true identity is a spy who deliberately approached him to obtain the U.S. action plan in the Vietnam. They experienced the two separation. Song Liling adopted a Chinese child during the period, falsely claiming that it was a child with Gallimard. 20 years later, Song Liling's identity as a spy was revealed. The French diplomat Gallimard was accused of leaking information and arrested. And later in the French court trial, Gallimard realized that Song Liling's true identity actually a man, and finally he committed suicide in disappear.
Wow, that's a really important story, but I really love it. So, Laura, I really like the two leading actors, and I think their character traits are worth exploring. I think their character can be discussed in terms of unique anima and animus. Would you like to share your opinion?
Yeah, I like to share in my opinion. I like to access cartoons, analytical, uh, got analytical psychologies of prototypes, the anima and the animals, to analyze the personality traits of Gaudium and Song Liling. The first one is anima. The definition of anima is that it refers to the basic feminine traits or characteristics uh, that men have, and when anima is highly aggregated, can make men become easily agitated, depressed, etc. In my view, the French diplomat Goldman is a person who with strong animal traits. Whenever he appeared in the film, he always carried the melancholy and the sensual feeling after watching the opera Mad Butterfly. Goldman then fell in love with Song Liling. Uh, this mysterious and elegant woman made him feel deeply in love and could not extricate himself. He could not control his restless heart to go to Song Liling's country yard in Peking. Along several times and had sexual relations with her. As a French diplomat, Goldman lost her reason and judgment and even risked being accused of leaking information to Song Liling. And in the end, Goldman committed suicide in despair. It could be seen from some of the actions that Goldman did after he fell in love with Song Liling. The animal traits is evident in the personality traits of Goldman. He is emotional, melancholy, impulsive, and even in trouble. With more and fewer women will have some character traits as opposed to Goldman. Song Liling is a person who is strong animal traits. This is also a second personality trait that I want to discuss. The definition of animals is the basic masculine trait that women have, and when animals is highly gastric, it makes female women aggressive and power-seeking. Even if Song Liling had a male astrological makeup, however, because Song Liling appears and the woman saw the film, identify her as a woman for Alice as Song Liling was a Chinese-speaking opera actress. He made Goldman in the performance of Mad Butterfly speaking opera without doubt. When Song Liling appeared in the film, she acted the female protagonist Goldman Song Liling and the film were full of style and she carried a unique oriental beauty, subtlety, and mystery. If I compare Goldman to the melancholy and lonely wanderer, then Song Liling is more like the French breeze. Song Ling's every move showed the scale of the famous speaking opera singer in the Republic of China, but throughout the film, Song Ling's character traits carry more of a male character traits originality than Goldman's caution and sincerity. Besides, there are points that could highlight the animal's character is Song Liling. For example, as a French diplomat, Goldman was not very enthusiastic about the job, and even his relationship with colleagues was not harmonious. And interaction with people could also be seen in his sensitive character traits of Goldman. On the contrary, as the actress in Peking Opera, Song Liling was able to speaking eloquently about the current political situation, kept books on economy and politics in her home, and was able to talk confidently to Goldman about her view on the current international political system. All this highlights the animus characteristic of Song Liling's character traits.
Oh, I see. So in the last paragraph of the film, when Gallimard finds out that Song Lilin real identity is a man, and his expression is worth discussing. Can you analyze why Gallimard appear that expression?
Yeah, I love to. There is a so provoking clip in the movie. In the trip called France, Gallimard meets Song Lilin, who was raised as a man and arrested as a spy. At the time, sitting the defendant said Gallimard did not show very shocked and surprised, but more like the kind of confusion and release after a dream was broken. In my opinion, I think Gallimard already knew that Song Lilin's real identity was a man, or the Song Lilin's every move was not different from the mature and elegant woman. Despite the partying experience, a full 20 years has passed since Gallimard met Song Lilin, and the last time they saw each other during this period, it was impossible not to find out Song Lilin was a man. From my perspective, the defense mechanism proposed by Frank Freud, the psychoanalytic school, could be used to explain the reason. The definition of the defense mechanism is that it's a method by which the ego keeps carrying things out of the consciousness to reduce or avoid anxiety. The psychological mechanisms that individuals use to avoid the disturbance and maintain mental balance when they are mentally disturbed. In the film, after watching the Oprah Matter Butterfly, Gaiman fell in love with Song Lin and believed that he was looking for his exclusive mad butterfly. He needed a romantic and gentle dream for himself and kept sinking into a dream and did not wake up. Probably in every causes where Song Lin was unwilling to use normal male-female sexual position with Gaiman. He had realized that Song Lin was in fact the man. When Song Lin asked Gaiman to collect information for him, he may know that Song Lin's identity was not sinful. However, he did not diminish the fact. To induce the pain and anxiety, he surprised her emotion by selectively ignoring and not thinking about them. When Song Lin did serve him with those perfectory and even flawed lies, he chose to believe them and rationalism then. This is consistent with one of Freud's defense mechanisms, repression, rationalization. The definition of repression is that the self includes the theoretic content from the consciousness through some active efforts, and the definition of rationalizing is finding acceptable reason for acceptable things or failures. Even the government with the tender and fragile dream for himself through the defense mechanism, he subconsciously knows the truth. Therefore, the moment that truth was relieved, government expected because he could not disturb himself. At the end of the film, Gaiman and Song Lin say that post the end of the prisoner car, Song Lin emphasized to Gaiman's love for him, and she certainly said that Gaiman was still in love with him. He even ended up standing neck in front of Gaiman trying to seduce him. In my opinion, at the moment, Song Lin was loving Gaiman, but he also knew that Gaiman was in love with only famous-speaking opera singer he played. Song Lin had not a red hair. He did not accept this truth. So she repeatedly states that Gaiman still loved him and was in love with was the real her. This is consistent with the reaction formation in Freud's defense mechanism. However, Gaiman apparently could not accept the reality of the broken dream that eventually committed suicide in disappear. So I think there is a true story appearing in Japan. The Oprah Matter Butterfly was stayed in Japan to the Horizon Jojo-san, marrying a U.S. Navy officer, Picton, and kept her in Pectin, Banjo, but wait for the abandonment. Jojo-san ended her love affair with a suicide. However, in the film Butterfly, it was officer who eventually committed suicide. As Gulliman said in the movie, it turns out that in this scene, I'm the butterfly. Okay, that's all. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for your
Thank you.
participation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Wow.